Hi, I'm Diana with the Reading Wonderland Garden Club, here today with Larry and Bonnie Boisclaire at their Monarch Waystation. Larry, would you please tell us why you started in this wonderful adventure?
Yes, we fell in love with this property and all the wildlife, and about 10 years ago with U.S. Fish and Wildlife, we entered into a partnership program with them to reestablish native plants and native grasses. And the biologist, the botanist who worked with us then, found a lot of milkweed in the little creek that flows from the two dams that we have. And she found some caterpillars, and she said, "These are monarch caterpillars." Oh, well, we never knew that. And so she said, "Yeah, you know," and so we began to read up on the monarchs and found out that they're disappearing. And so we decided that we would try to help them. And so we planted, again, a lot of flowers and stuff. And then one day, we went out on a Saturday afternoon, and we counted 54 caterpillars. And Sunday morning, when we went out to the same area, we only counted 6. And we thought, oh my goodness, something is eating all these little caterpillars. So we decided that we would collect them. And so we, usually on a daily basis, we go out and look for caterpillars, and then we bring them into the house, and we have these waste baskets that we put them in, and we pick milkweed and put them in little plastic containers with water, and the caterpillars are safe, and they just thrive in these containers. So then they pupate, and when the butterflies hatch, then we take them out and release them. And so it's been an ongoing thing, and the more we've done it, the more we've read about the monarchs. We went down 2 years ago to Santa Cruz and looked at the monarchs down there in the big eucalyptus trees. Monterey. And yeah, Monterey. And there were hardly any. There used to be hundreds of thousands of butterflies down there. We counted 50. That's all we could count there one day. So, but we were just in one area, but they've really disappeared. Last year's count, I think, was 12,000. That's all.
So they're dwindling rapidly.
They're dwindling. So in 2016, we had a big operation going, and we released over 1,200 butterflies that year. And the following year, there was less, about 280, and then we didn't have any butterflies or anything. And then last year, again, was a bad year, and then this year we'll probably release about 50, 60? Mm-hmm. So, not too many. About 2000 and maybe it was 16, we were in contact with a group in Southern Oregon. They're called the Southern Oregon Monarch Advocates. And that's where we met Robert Coffin. And I took up to them a bucket of caterpillars. We took them 54 caterpillars, because they had a beautiful milkweed garden and no caterpillars. So we took up, hopefully, we thought maybe they would start, going up there then. And so we got acquainted with Robert, and he's a terrific monarch butterfly guy. And so
I've heard him speak before out at Central Valley High School a couple of years ago. Now, what is the best variety of milkweed for us to start planting to try to save our monarchs?
Yeah, the one that does the best for us is this one right here, and it's called Narrow Leaf. And the butterflies that come into our place prefer that. We also have Indian milkweed, which is a very large leaf. And we have hundreds of those plants. And then we had, although I think it died out, but we had showy milkweed. And but they didn't like that as much as they liked the narrow leaf. So mostly what we have is narrow leaf. And this year also we found unusual milkweed on our property, and it's called swamp milkweed. And it's from Missouri. And I don't know how it got out here on our place, but anyway, we have that, and that is really a nice milkweed. So we're hoping that that'll also help the butterflies.
Now, do you save any of the seeds from the milkweed? And if you do, is there any place that we could acquire some to distribute to our garden club members to help start growing more milkweed?
Yeah, we used to save a lot of seeds. Now we don't so much, but we can. We do have the seed pods that are breaking open now. So we'll make an effort to save you some seeds.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then with the caterpillars, how many eggs do they lay?
Is it 300?
Typically 100. However, one of the advocates in Oregon witnessed two female butterflies and counted the eggs, 1,000.
Going back again to the different varieties of the milkweed, does the color of the flower make any difference? I've heard that there's some varieties that are not beneficial to the monarch. Could you clarify that for me, please?
Sweetie?
Well, I think that all the varieties are good for the monarchs, but the flowers are quite different on the different types of milkweed. Like the swamp milkweed has a large bouquet, and they're purple and white flowers. And all of the pollinators love that particular variety of milkweed. The narrow leaf, which we mostly have, has a real tight, almost looks like cauliflower type of a blossom on it. And but it's rich in nectar, and again, most of the pollinators like that type. The Indian milkweed has its flower is kind of like a cauliflower also, only it's spread out a little bit, and it's pink and white, and pollinators they like that a lot.
So we plant color. We have a butterfly garden with the milkweed, with zinnias and
Agastache,
yeah, and
desert.
it's Nichia and snapdragons and
butterfly bush.
all kinds of colorful stuff. So they have to have nectar and they have to have milkweed. The butterfly does not need milkweed to survive. They can survive on nectar, but these little guys, look at this one. He thinks it's time to make a pupa. And
Hold it in your hand so you can see it in the camera.
so when they decide it's time to form a pupa, which takes about 10 days, they leave the milkweed and find a safe place to hide a stick, and they do this. They form a J. And these guys get very anxious because they can't run away. They're trapped. And we've had them escape and go all over the house. But eventually they'll settle down and do this. This one's a failure. And unfortunately, at the end of the season, we get failures.
You want me to hold this?
Yeah, this guy's gonna go right here.
Oh.
Here you go. Now, these are phenomenal. So get close. They have a ring of gold. They have a crown of gold all the way around. It's phenomenal. They're so beautiful. So they sit like that for exactly 10 days. And then they turn dark. About one.
Yeah, the day that they hatch, that cocoon, if you will turn black. And that's how you know that they're going to hatch.
Interesting.
Interfere with each other. And when we bring in the little guys, we call them Tiny Tims, and this was a Tiny Tim about 3 days ago. So I'm going to
So you take
I'm gonna-
and size them and then put them,
yeah, so they're,
so they grow at about the same rate, so they
Yeah.
mature at the same rate?
and
Correct. Now, we found that it's helpful to keep their pens clean. So we clean them, and the most caterpillars that seem to work in a container of this size is 10. If you get more than 10, they get anxious. They're like a territorial kind of a thing, and they don't like that, and they fight. But if we keep it to 10 and keep them about the same size, everything works good.
that's called frass. F-R-A-S.
So in a typical basket as this, you only allow 10 at a time?
Yeah.
And then when you get ready to release, do you take them outdoors? Or is there a process you have to start inside first?
You're talking about the butterflies?
Right.
They'll hatch early in the morning usually, and I have a little fan behind you there, and so I'll turn that on, and that helps dry their wings, and it gives their wings a little exercise. And then in the afternoons, it depends on the temperature. If it's 112 out, we'll wait until early evening to take them because it just seems like it's too hot. But yeah, and then we just take them down to the flower garden and turn them loose. Now there's lots of things that can happen to the caterpillars and the butterflies. A lot of insects like to eat them, wasps, praying mantis, dragonflies, and then they get there's a fly that what's the name of that fly?
Technic.
Yeah, and it will bore a hole in the caterpillar and deposit its eggs in there. And then when the eggs hatch, there's a little larva that will feed on the caterpillar when it's alive. And sometimes the caterpillar will survive to go into a pupa stage, and then that's when the butterfly hatches. It's deformed because of that larva that has eaten out part of it. And other times, like that one caterpillar is just hanging straight down, it's probably dead, and probably dead from the larva of the fly.
Would it be all right if we go out and see the garden area and the milkweed? Or is it too difficult to get to?
No, it's not difficult at all. Yeah, we'll have to drive. It's a ways down.
That would be wonderful.
Okay.
Do you have more questions?
I think as far as I'm concerned, you've answered so many questions and those that I didn't even think of. And it's been wonderful to get such a great education on the monarchs and what we probably could be able to do in our own yards and homes.
Sure.
And we'll look forward to getting questions from garden club members and being in contact with you to see what we can do from here.
All right.
To promote the Monarch Waystations.
Yeah, now, also I'd mentioned that we didn't start getting caterpillars until August. And the Monarch research people tell us that these are the butterflies that are heading south. So all of the butterflies that we release now will go to the Central Coast and overwinter and lay eggs that will start the new generation next year of butterflies. So these are actually the most important butterflies for the survival of the monarch species, because they're the ones that will start the new process.
Well, I will definitely have to start looking closer at my milkweed and see if I'm missing some caterpillars.
How
Yeah, now
large?
the caterpillars are very smart. Let's see, do you have a piece of milkweed? What they like to do is they like to, when they're feeding, they like to go on the inside of the milkweed leaf. And typically, this one is getting old now, but they curl, the leaf curls, and they hide inside of the curl on the inside. So they're not easy to find, especially when they're small. So we typically will pull the milkweed over and look at it carefully all the way around to find the caterpillars.
Oh, that's very good information. I'll give that a try when I go home.
All right.
That's to find the eggs?
No, to find that little caterpillar.
Oh, to find the little caterpillar.
Yeah.
And how large are the eggs that you found?
They're about 1/16 of an inch, maybe.
Pinhead.
A pinhead, yeah, that's a good description. So they're real small.
Good eyes.
And the caterpillar, when he starts out, that's how big he is. And then they multiply their size 2,500 times.
Wow.
From when they first hatch to when they're full grown and they pupate. And they molt 5 times during their lifespan, which is probably from when the egg hatches until they pupate is about 3 weeks maybe, that's all.
Do they come back here? This is their home.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Similar then to the salmon returning to where
Yeah.
they first started. Interesting.
And
Yeah.
then they'll use 4 generations to go north.
Yeah.
Lay
The
their eggs
salmon,
here, these will go.
the salmon, it's the same fish that comes back up into the creek from when he goes down in the ocean and then comes back. But the butterflies, they're 4 generations. So the butterfly that returns had never been there. You know, they're amazing.
Yeah.
And it's just a great mystery.
It's like it's ingrained in their DNA.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they pass it from generation to generation. So,
Wonderful.
Very
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, let us go and see
Okay.
the gardens
All right.
and get some more film and some shots of it.
okay.
We're going down to where the reserve is, where they find the eggs and the monarch eggs and maybe some pupa. So Bonnie's down there now searching some of the leaves. It's quite a process. And this is the butterfly garden here with the flowers, all the beautiful flowers that the monarchs love.
I've been told previously that there was a variety of the milkweed that has the yellow and orange flower already.
It's a Mexican, we call it Mexican milkweed. It's really invasive. It took us probably 6 years to eradicate it. I mean, it just keeps coming up. So we don't like that milkweed because it's too invasive. But yeah, it does have pretty flowers, orange and yellow. Yeah.
So you recommend
It comes from Florida. But we like the native milkweed. And there's like 30 varieties in California.
Well, Larry, as we're going to wrap things up, we want to thank both you and Bonnie so much for inviting us out to learn about the importance of having a Monarch Waystation. We really appreciate it. We're going to look forward to sharing it with our members. We'll be back in touch with you because we know we're going to have many questions and people wanting to come and learn more.
Sure, anytime. Be glad to help you.
Thank you very much. Thank you folks for watching today. Have a great afternoon.